Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics Tuesday night live Q&A ahead of round 21. It is, for people listening on the pod, it is Tuesday, the 30th of July. I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BalesDT across all of the socials. And joining me, we've got the whole gang back together. It's been a couple of weeks probably since we've had this. We do have a man that is slowly recovering. Voice still a bit raspy there. But we've got Guesty, mate. How are you?
Mate, I'm keeping it like this for the ladies.
Oh, mate. No, it's good to have you, mate. How's it feel? Back-to-back pods.
Actually, shout out. I wonder how many ladies we've got listening. Actually, probably not a huge amount.
There you go. And joining us is obviously our other co-host, Fantasy Fanatic. It is Jordox, mate. We didn't get to catch you on Sunday night. Probably a good thing. Probably a bit disappointed with the result of a certain team that we go for. But mate, how was the weekend for you? How'd you score and sort of give us a bit of a rundown how you went?
Yeah, I would have been better off not watching that game on delay on Sunday night. But anyway, that's how it goes.
Jumped on with us.
I should have.
I was so tempted to message you and just say, mate, no, don't worry about it. But I thought you like watching it, so I'll let you go.
Never do it. Anyway, fantasy-wise, look, pretty crap. I mean, I scored all right. I scored 23-64. The problem is everyone else scored more. So, yeah, bit of a tough one. Drifted out, and now I'm outside the 2K range. So, yeah, it was a bit disappointing. But, you know, it's we just got to keep going now. 4 weeks to go. And yeah, I'll get back into the 2K hopefully this week and finish strong.
Yeah, exactly. Plus or minus 3 as well?
Yeah, good question. Let's have a look at last round. Plus 3, we can go with. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give my plus 3 and my minus 3 to the same person. Controversial. So plus 3 goes to Dane Zorko. What a wonderful score. I didn't have Cherry. I didn't have Marshall. I didn't have all those big ones, but I put the V on Zorko, and I was very happy. Except he was on 125 at three-quarter time and just scored the 14 points in the last quarter. So he can have my -3 because I thought he was going to beat Cherry, and I was going to feel pretty good about it. But, yeah, there's my plus and minus.
Well, there you go. Interesting.
And Luke Ryan, -3 for Luke Ryan again every week. He can just be the permanent -3 guy, Luke Ryan. You don't even have to ask me every week.
It's such a drop off for Luke Ryan. To hear it like on the Ball Boys, like they obviously do the sponge and camel of the week, which is always good fun. And the first few was Luke Ryan, sponge of the week, and he was spongy. Whereas now it's just dry, like nothing's happening. So he's not too good. Yeah, exactly. But
lots of good forward options to talk about this week for some F7 ideas. So looking forward to talking through that.
So I thought what we'd actually do on that note, boys, because obviously we've got a month to go, 4 weeks. People want to be moving up in the ranks and trying to get obviously as high as possible. And if you're like me, hoping that you can catch up 100 points a week to get top 100, which is probably a bit unlikely, but we'll see how we go. But yeah, we'll go through the positions, I think, and we'll sort of just talk about maybe a couple of options that you guys probably like and you'd be suggesting. And I'll go Jordox first because I know that then Tim will have a quick look and see what he likes. But Jordox, we'll start defense. Give us maybe a couple of names of defender options. You might have them already, but maybe you could suggest them for the listeners and that who you'd be potentially targeting for a good sort of last 4 weeks to bring into your side.
Geez, that Lockie Whitfield goes all right at the Giants. He's the main guy I'm targeting, but obviously
6 of 8 over 120, and the other 2 100.
Anything you didn't already know. I mean, he was in the wet on a cold Melbourne night at the G and found a way. He's incredible. Obviously, everyone knows about him. Ed Richards is playing a nice role and starting to get the scores. He's under 800K. Don't mind him. And then probably Nick Newman, someone you were hot on a while ago because he has a good run and he just hasn't quite got there yet. But the final 4 games he's got coming up, there's a really good chance he could pull out some big ones. And at 853K, that's a really nice price. and they're probably the main ones. They're pretty obvious ones. Going down if money's a bit of a problem. Let's see what's down here. I reckon you just go to the top there. I don't think there's anything too exciting in the cheaper options. It's probably more the forward line where you're looking at those really cheap guys. Jordan Ridley's out. I wonder what that could mean. Maybe for a Nick Martin, maybe even a Mason Redman. But no, that's probably the main ones.
Probably see. I think maybe Redmond could be a bit more defensive and play the Ridley role, and Nick Martin slides back into the Redmond role or something like that. I think that could be certainly something looks like, because I think Nick Martin looked to be playing a bit more defence once Ridley was injured on the weekend. I didn't see him as much forward as he has been in previous weeks. Tim, any sort of defenders that catch your eye that you're keen on?
Well, I mean, shout out to Jaden Bowski, right, from Sunday night. I mean, he was shouting out Ed Richards pretty big, and Nick Newman, obviously. George was talking about Nick Newman there. So I think Ed Richards might be the other one if you need to save a little bit of cash.
Yep, yeah. I was actually surprised, George, you didn't say, because I know you're a fan of him in your draft team. So no, the Richards one is definitely a good one here. We got a couple of super chats here. I'll just quickly go through these before we go into other positions. So Tim Ashworth's got the first one. So thank you very much for this, mate. He says Jackson to Myers and Clark to Stewart, or Rosie to Noah Anderson and Clark to Stewart. Jordox, which combo are you going? Jackson to Myers and Clark to Stewart, or Rosie to Anderson and Clark to Stewart?
I don't love Myers. I reckon you can rule that one out. Or Rosie to Noah Anderson. That's an interesting one. Noah Anderson. There's a guy that could give you just 4 weeks of good scores. I don't mind that. And Clark to Stewart, or just do Rosie to Treloar.
And then just a rookie downgrade to be the other one.
Yeah. Oh, probably Rosie to Treloar, to be honest. I mean, Clark, I don't know what he's been doing lately. I know
he's been getting his 85 to 100 essentially. Just been
back to what he was doing at the start of the year. Jeez, he's had a consistent year.
He's only had those 3 weeks where he went the 120 plus scores. I think he's had 2 or 3 scores below 80, and everything else is. But then obviously it cancels out right with the 120. So it's like he's just literally been 95.
Yeah, he's a draft guy, isn't he? Super consistent. So I guess you could upgrade him, but no, I don't know. Out of those 3, I like.
So you'd rather Treloar and Clark over Stewart and Anderson.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I'd almost get Anderson and Stewart, just because I really like Stewart. I think he's got the ceiling. He's gone 3 120s in his last 4, and I think Anderson's got comparable matchups to Treloar. That's probably where I'm leaning towards.
It can't keep going with Stewart. It just can't. He's got Adelaide and Geelong.
He'll dominate this week.
Yeah. One more week. And what I mean is, it can't keep going. Is opposition clubs can't keep allowing it. So at some point, someone's going to clamp on him. Looking at the fixture, though, he's got the Crows, who he just has a field day against every time. Then the Dockers, Saints, where Windhager should be back in business, and Eagles. So yeah, maybe he will finish with 120s.
Yeah, because it's just going to be hard for people to pay attention to him, because he starts in the midfield, then goes back. So you can't use a midfielder to tag him. So you'd almost have to be using a Chincotta type player, where they start at half forward and they just follow him up the ground, then back into defence probably. But that'd be about the only.
If we're going Clark to Stewart, then let's just look at what else you could do for Rosie to know if Noah Anderson's not the man. Because I don't mind it, but who else is in that range? I mean, the thing about Noah Anderson is he's not dirt cheap. If he was really cheap, I'd be more of a fan, but he's only 870. So you got Jordan Dawson, for example, 50K cheaper coming back. And I know he's had his issues.
I love Dawson, but I don't know if I'd get him. Geelong this week's great, but then his final 2, he goes with Port and Sydney, which he'll definitely cop a tag. Port, restrictive already, and then I can't remember. And then they got the Dogs, which could be okay, but maybe 2 week play. You could look at it.
and then you've got, Walsh and Sarong in a similar area. So, yeah, I don't know about any of them.
I'm a big fan of Anderson. I think that go really well.
Just to pipe it. I mean, firstly, I'm just going to back up what Bales was saying about Stewart, right? That the whole role has been designed around Stewart avoiding the tag. So I think that role is going to continue, and I think that level of scoring is probably going to continue. So I think that's a definite trade that we want to get done there. And then in support of Noah Anderson, look, Gold Coast just had the best run of all the clubs when it comes to inside mids to finish the year. West Coast, Essendon, Melbourne, Richmond. 3 of those are bright green, and Essendon is, light green. So, great run. I totally get the hesitation with Noah Anderson. We know he can be pretty volatile as a scorer. And he's never really kind of, sustainably put on, big figures for a long period of time. But, 4 weeks to go, I think this is the best time as any. And he's going to have pretty low ownership as well. So I think for someone who's trying to make up some rank or, make ground, I think that's a pretty damn good trade.
Yeah. I like it. Let's go with option 2, Tim.
Yeah. Then we got one from Corey Blackledge. Says, thoughts on Peatling or Philippou and Treloar in for Young and Jackson. So thoughts on going a Jackson down to a Peatling or a Philippou and Young to Treloar. And obviously with Peatling, Canelio has been ruled out already for this week. So definitely could be the 1 week play. Philippou back after a bit of injury. We don't know. I think his role is probably going to be what it was pre-injury, but maybe you want to, I don't know, could you jump into it, Tim? Would you be happy getting a Peatling or a Philippou at F6?
What was the back end of it to do what?
So you're going Young to Treloar. I think we all tick that off. That's great trade. And then it's you're going Jackson down to Peatling or Philippou to get the cash for that trade. Would you be ticking that off?
Yeah, look, I mean, Jackson could throw up a bloody 70 anyway, right? And with the way we've seen Peatling score tons when he's had the role. So, look, when does he play this weekend? I mean, are we concerned about? Well, not
Sunday.
really. With Kelly out, not with Cogs out.
He was best on ground for me on Saturday night. There was 2 tackles towards the end of the game where he got hold of the ball and won them the game, essentially stopping Melbourne's attack. So I cannot imagine a world where he's subbed this week at least.
Yeah, he plays the first game Sunday, but he won't be the sub. He'll be named on the ball. He won't even be on the bench.
Yeah, look, I think he can. I prefer it as an F7, but as a 1 week play, I think he can, especially at this time of the year, mate. Well, I mean, what have we got to lose, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you're going him over Philippou, though?
I would think so. I mean, Philippou's back this week, right? Or did he play last? No, he didn't play last week. So this would be
he's a test
back.
Yeah,
he's a test.
Well, so he sounds like he'll be back.
Yeah, look, I would still be going probably Peatling. I mean, I'd be going for the ceiling, right?
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah,
I think
Peatling's
got a ceiling over the top of this week anyway.
Yeah, you can always go Peatling to Philippou if Peatling's out next week, and Philippou's got, I believe it's Geelong or something next week, and then Richmond. So could definitely look at maybe something like that. Tim Ashworth also put another super chat, so thanks, mate. He's actually got put in 3, so thank you very much for putting those 3, mate. He said, hey, boys, going to watch the Cats this weekend, and then he said, can I join your show next year and leagues? Well, we might be doing an open league. A lot of people have been asking me about an open league and stuff, so I might do something like that. And yeah, mate, we'll have a look. Obviously, next year's still a bit away, but we can definitely revisit that at some point in the new year. Got another couple ones here as well. Tim Ashworth putting in a heat there, so thanks, mate. And then Chris has got this one here. He said, not sure what to do this week. I could move on a Walsh, Rosie, Sarong up to a Primo, or move Young to Stewart. Any advice would be great. So, Jordox, what were your thoughts on that? I'm personally not moving a Walsh on this week. He's got Collingwood. He's got a decent run coming up. I'd almost back the fixtures in. Rosie, you could. He's got Sydney, and Sarong's got Eston and Geelong, so a couple of ones. So, would you be trading any of those mids out, or do you think Young to Stewart is the trade?
Yeah, I'd probably just go Young to Stewart. I mean, it does depend on who you're going to move the mids up to. Like if there's a Treloar or a Goulden, for example, that you don't have. But apart from them, no, I think Young to Stewart's the better move there.
Yeah, I think I agree as well. Beautiful. All righty. Well, we'll get into
Hang
the
on,
other
can
questions.
we just think about this for a second? Just
Yeah.
let's just pause, right, mate? And maybe you guys are right. Maybe I'm just my brain's trying to catch up, right? So let's so Walsh we wouldn't be getting off. Sarong I wouldn't be getting off. Rosie, I think you might get off in up against Sydney while Young's got. I mean, Young's got a pretty good run to the end of the year.
Yeah, at least the next two. I think he finishes off with Giants and Port.
Sorry, no, you're right. You're right. Yeah, so it's not the full, but it's the next two. He's got a good run with what are you talking? Essendon and Geelong. I mean, I don't know. He might be able to hold up in that back line. I mean, that's not to say we don't still bring in Stewart, right? But I'm wondering whether Rosie is more the one to get off this week with that Sydney matchup. I mean,
and
we could see
and Sean just said here about as well with no Fife this week, more mid minutes for Young as well potentially.
Yeah, there you go. That's another one, right? But we could also see that the tag go from Butters to Rosie as well.
Yeah,
we did see that a little bit on Friday night. They sort of chopped and changed a little bit with the tag.
Yeah,
so I'm wondering whether could you go Rosie to Stewart?
You could.
What do you think?
It's probably if you've probably got Rosie, you probably can get up to a Treloar, who's the talk of the week at the moment. Obviously after his amazing form the last 3 weeks, whatever. And I'm sure we'll talk about him very shortly when we get to the mids.
Am I talking shit, or is it better to trade out? Well, I mean, or is there merit in trading out Rosie over Young?
No,
I'm not sure.
You're not talking any
more
tough
trade. It's
shit
a tough
than
one.
you usually talk. I just think with Young, I was in that boat probably a month ago when there was talk of trading him out, and I'm like, no, he's safe, he's fine.
Yeah,
he's just not now. Like he's just scoring 90s, 80s, low ton, and even with the good run, finishing with a good run, what does that even mean for Hayden Young? His best score is a 129, which is obviously very good, but
he's probably not going to burn you, is what you're probably trying to say.
He's got 120. Yeah. He's got 120
55 points more than what Rosie scored last week.
Oh yeah, but you'd think a player like Rosie would bounce back. I mean, that was an off night, I reckon.
He's back at home, back at Adelaide Oval this week as well.
And Rosie's a guy who about 4 weeks ago, was on nearly 100 at halftime. I mean, Hayden Young's not getting anywhere near that.
Sure.
But you're not wrong to slow it down and let's just have a think about it, because the options in the midfield are going to be a little bit more enticing than just Tom Stewart. But I just think, like, I've been defending Hayden Young for ages. He's just every week there's always something. Oh, he went forward for a bit. Oh, he was a bit this. Or, didn't he have like a 0 point last quarter or something?
I think the thing that Jaden was saying on Sunday night was that for inside mids, and I can't remember who he was talking about on the other side of this, but he was saying that Freo they've actually had a really tough run in terms of the inside mids. And hence why Hayden Young's scoring has been down over the last, call it 4 to 6 weeks or whatever it is, since the bye maybe. So that was the other thing that I was taking into consideration as well.
They've also had some good ones, though. They had the Eagles, they had the Tigers. Yeah.
The other thing I'll probably just add, because Chris just said he doesn't have the DPP to go Rosie to there, but I'm sure you probably got to defend a mid that you can put into your midfield. But if you don't, then fair enough. But I guess the one thing that you could do is if you were looking to VC a Treloar, I'm just using Treloar as an example because if you train Rosie, that might be who you go to. If you're looking at VCing a Treloar, that might sway you to going Rosie to Treloar and keep Young for a week because he's got a good run. But it is a tough one. It's probably another one where without seeing the rest of the team and everything like that, it's probly a little bit of a tricky one to answer.
And we still wouldn't know. We still wouldn't know, mate. Who fucking knows what's going to happen this weekend?
And DC said it when we had him on. What was it? Previous weekend when he was saying, "Is like this time of year is so hard to answer these questions because people have got different teams, people in different situations, different rankings." Like you might be going for something different. You might be going for leagues. Like it's harder to sort of go, oh, we do this singular trade. Whereas early in the season, it's a little bit easier to sort of to say those. So, but yeah, no, I appreciate the questions coming through, and we'll get to a heap of those very shortly. But we'll quickly go through the midfielders, because defenders, I can't really add anything else. I think you boys have pretty much said all the names that I would have suggested. So I will move to the midfield. Obviously, we've mentioned a couple of names, Tim, obviously Treloar and Anderson being sort of the main two. Which other, well, along with those two, which other mids do you like as well?
Well, Jaden threw out Bont as the number 2 projected player for him between now and the end of the year.
And he's got a good 3-week stretch as well. And he won't get tagged in any of the three, I can't imagine. What's he got? Melbourne this week. Then he goes into the Crows, then goes to North Melbourne. So, yeah. As an owner, I hope he goes well.
Well, he's due. He hasn't put up a score in a while. 4 weeks now. Yep.
Tim, anyone else? Like, so they're probably are they the 3 for you? Do you reckon? Do you reckon it's the 2 Bulldogs boys and Anderson are probably your 3 ones that you'd be looking at?
Maybe Dunks as well.
I like Dunks. Yeah, he's got Giants as the tough one in the last 4, but he's got Saints, Giants, Collingwood, Essendon, I believe, is his run for the rest of the year. So I like 3 of those. And the Giants game is at the Gabba at least as well. So
yeah.
You know what, Andrew? You know what Andy Brayshaw did this week, boys? Something he hasn't done for the entire season.
What score? I scored between 110, 120. Is that
back-to-back tons for the first time?
Oh, back-to-back tons. Okay, interesting.
So that's enough for me to say, yep, Brayshaw's a great pick for the run home.
Did you hear on Moreira's Magic podcast talking about how he was dealing with a ingrown toenail?
No. Oh.
Yeah, apparently he had a really bad ingrown toenail, and that's been part of what's hampered him all season.
Wow.
Interesting.
Well, there you go.
Back-to-back years of something with Brayshaw, unfortunately.
So apparently he's all good and clear now. So
now there's another name. The price isn't right, and we're probably going to want to have a look. But I reckon Matt Crouch might come in this week, and he's got Geelong. Would be a brave man. Would be a brave coach.
I couldn't trust anything at the Crows at the moment, unfortunately, especially with the last 2 or 3 games. The Geelong game's great. As a 1-week player, it's a bit of a Hail Mary you could, but...
And what do we think?
He'll be too hairball happy. Score 90. Sorry, Timmy.
What do we think of Tom Green with all the elite players out at GWS? Probably going to get a bit more of the ball as well there, you reckon?
Well, he's still such a great prize. So he's now 6 tons in a row, which includes 3 120s. And he's still only 917K.
Yeah.
So, yep. And you're right. Cogs is out for another 1 to 2, I read. Kelly's probably similar. And it's not even going to matter when they come back because it's the James Peatling show from here on anyway.
Exactly.
He's the number 1 banana now, is he?
Yeah. I'm big on him. And also, back on the Freo, I just did a quick check. Fife took the 1 week to the tribunal, but he was unsuccessful. So Fife will miss this week.
Yeah, so Young could be decent this week. But just before we move on to the forwards, because I think the rucks are the rucks. Cheer and Marshall put the top 2, and I don't know if you're touching Gawn and English. He's got some tough matchups. I think it's those top 2. But I just want you guys to rank the mids we've just talked about. So Treloar, Bont, Anderson, Brayshaw, and Dunkley, those 5, because they're probably the 5 that got the good matchups. I want you guys to rank those 5 because I'm interested selfishly, but also I know listeners will be wanting to know which one of the 5 they want to be going. So,
but before we move to I'll have a crack at it. Before we move to the forwards, though, there's a ruckman I want to talk about, though. Okay. So the 5 names are going to go Treloar, Dunkley. Who were the other 3?
Bont, Anderson, and Brayshaw.
Oh, yeah. Brayshaw.
Jeez, that's hard.
All right, I've got my 5. Treloar, Dunkley, Brayshaw, Bont, Anderson.
Yep. Tim?
Yeah, Dunkley and Bont. You could potentially switch them around. Anderson, I think I would have last.
Okay.
Who else was in there?
Dunkley, Brayshaw.
Look, I mean, insane. I mean, I think it's really hard to split any of them, right? And I don't see anything wrong with, particularly where you're at the moment, Bales, with going a bit different and going like an Anderson and a Brayshaw. They're going to be lowly owned. They are players that have got ceilings. They've got, Brayshaw's got a pretty decent run, at least for the next two. Gold Coast have got a great run till the end of the season. And I mean, they could be players that really make the difference for you, you know?
Yeah. Well, if I was to rank
pretty much everyone's got dunks. Everyone's going to Treloar.
A few people got Bont, like about 70 odd owned in the top 1,000. If I was to rank, I reckon if I was ranking the 5, I'd actually go. I've got probably, I don't know, Treloar and Anderson are probably the top 2 for me. I've got them at the 2. I think Anderson's been poor, but they've been in tough matchups away from home. And I think all the matchups to come, I think he'll be a top 4 or 5 mid for the rest of the season. So I think at the moment I've got Treloar just, then Anderson, then I've got Bont for at least next 3 weeks. Then I go Dunkley, then Brayshaw. But Brayshaw I still like for the next 2 weeks. So it's going to be very, very interesting. But yeah, Jordox, quickly, just with the ruck, who do you want to chat about?
So I've had Grundy all year, and I'm starting to think, I might need to make a move on that because I don't have a Marshall and I don't have a Cherry. And I just read something today. John Longmire had said they're going to look at giving him a rest between now and finals. They don't know when. They don't know if it'll be this week. Maybe they won't do it at all, but it might happen. And Laddams,
24-inch Crows.
Laddams has been good in the 2s, so I'm hoping they do it this week, forcing me to trade. But just for the Brodie Grundy owners who might have other things more pressing, just be aware of that in the next few weeks.
Yeah,
you might have a rest.
Yeah, beautiful. No, definitely something to keep an eye on. And the forwards, obviously it's probably the big 3. I think almost Caldwell's just been shuffled out a tiny bit just with all the good matchups Essendon have had. And I think if we had better options, a few people who even would look at trading because he's over 900k. But I think the obvious one to me that jumps out is a Jai Simpkin with the run coming up. I think he would be a pretty good pick. I don't mind a Charlie Curnow as an F7 potential looper who could go big, especially against West Coast in the final round. Then I think even Jeremy Cameron in round 24 could be a good shout. Jordox, any forwards that you like?
I'm going just down to the bottom. Peatling or Philippou, I reckon, are the ones to do. I've got a nice little F7 setup going on. And yeah, so I could then loop between Simpkin and that player. So Peatling, he's so interesting. He's played 6 games this year without the sub and maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 with the sub. So they certainly like the sub for him. But the 6 where he hasn't got the sub, he's averaged 95.
Yep, I saw something earlier.
5 of those 6 games are without Cornelio. 1 of the 6 games was with Cornelio, and he scored 54. But Cornelio is out for at least 1, maybe 2 more. So there's 2 weeks where Peatling, the Giants will be mental if they change it now.
And if he's F7, it doesn't matter. You can loop him,
well,
so he goes in when Cog's back. So
yeah. And then Philippou is the other one who, we were robbed of the opportunity to talk about it because his injury was announced before most of the pods that week. But Philippou,
he's one for next week, I reckon, because he's got Brisbane this week at Marvel. Tough matchup, Brisbane. But then I think, as I said, he's got Geelong and Richmond in back-to-back weeks. I think then we'll be talking if he goes well this week.
What's his break even though?
It's low, so he'd be a tick over 500k next week, but he'd definitely won.
Yeah,
there you go.
So worth the look.
Yeah,
worth the look, but it'll cost you maybe 50k.
Yeah. Agreed. Tim, you got any other names to add with the forwards?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, I think they're probably the ones that's probably going really down, or Simpkins probably the one. I think they're probably almost the three that.
You know who's been really interesting, and he's kind of like a Brian Myers type. In fact, his scoring's quite comparable. Is Brent Daniels, the GWS? He's been good in the last little bit.
I don't know.
Let's look at this. No,
anytime he's come into calculation for fantasy, he'll do a hamstring or he'll do a calf or something. He just, unfortunately, he's that injury prone player in the forward line. I think if you're going any Giants forward, it's Peatling. Could you go Toby Green over Brent Daniels, my boy, who I'm potentially looking at training out. So I don't know if I could recommend bringing him in. But
if there was any news of him going back to the midfield, remember there was a period of 3 or 4 years where he was a forward, but any whisper that he was going back into the midfield,
everyone jumped on. Yeah, exactly.
Keezy, he dropped right back down to earth, as did the entire Crows team. 61. He was playing the same role, but didn't kick as many goals and just didn't touch it as much. But I just think Brent Daniels is really interesting because there'd be people looking to bring in Brian Myers. He's been a guy that's been talked about as he's pretty good for F6. But same price, you could get Daniels, who is in better form scoring wise. Luke Jackson is there. I actually had a funny moment on Saturday night watching the derby. Cracking derby, by the way. Derby. Cracking game. The Eagles brought the heat. There was punch-ons. It was just a cracker. I really enjoyed the game. And anyway, so Sean Darcy actually it looked like a hit to the head. I think it was just his shoulder in the end. So he walked off. And I thought, oh, God, he's done. I've just traded Luke Jackson out for Dylan Moore. And now Sean Darcy's going to be out. I just wanted to scream. So thankfully he came back on, Darcy, because if he was missing, Luke Jackson would be the number one player we talk about this week. So she's a funny old game. And it's funny that will we ever see Luke Jackson released as the number one guy? Maybe not at 3.
No. We've got another super chat here from Jared V. So thanks, mate. He said, fellas, trades are English to Marshall and Rosie to either Brayshaw or Jack Steele he's probably the one that I did forget to mention, who I don't mind. Or should I hold English and Rosie and upgrade an F7 loop? Simpkin is now F6. So, Tim, where would you be going? Are you doing the double sideways move to get guys with better matchups in Marshall and Brayshaw or Steele? And who would you go between the two? Or are you maybe looking at holding English and Rosie into an F7 loop?
Oh, man. Okay. Let's break this down and go through it again. So, walk me through the first part.
Okay, so English to Marshall and Rosie to either Brayshaw or Steele. Firstly, who would you go the two?
I like getting off Rosie this week. I really do. English is pretty good record against Scorn, but I am worried about how English has been going. So yeah, that's a bit of a concern as well. But probably more inclined to the second one.
Yeah. Oh, the F7 loop.
No, the Rosie to
no. They're talking about Jared's talking about two combos of trades. He can go English to Marshall and Rosie to Brayshaw or Steele, or he can hold them both and do like an F7 like loop and bring in a red dot and get an F7 guy.
I'll be going for the best team on field.
I think I agree as well. I know the F7 loop's good, but at the end of the day, I don't know if it's going to cost you too much. I like, as you said, I like jumping off of. I know English. Maybe you could hold one week, but Marshall's got the ceiling.
Could we just talk about that trade? Like for me, I'm actually on the F7 loop train, even in that scenario. That's just me though. But talk to me. I've heard this a lot already in the 2 days since the weekend. English to Marshall is a really popular trade. Why?
I think it's just because Marshall's got the ceiling. He's the number one scoring player this year, and he's got Brisbane this week, who's got a 105 against with Campbell in the team. But then after that, his run is great. Obviously, his last 2 games being Carlton and Geelong, or Geelong then Carlton. So his final 2 games are like you have to have him with those
look,
2.
It's not so much why would you want Marshall. It's just more why are we dropping English? I
don't think it's something that has to be done this week. I think
you can wait 1 week. Yeah, next week's probably the week. The perfect week.
I'm looking at English's scores, and he hasn't hit. Like Marshall's the man. Don't get me wrong, but English to Marshall, I don't know why that particular, like Grundy, who I've got to Marshall, probably makes more sense and costs more money. But I don't know why people are going English to Marshall. I just don't know how many points you're going to gain doing that. But that's just me. And even Rosie to Brayshaw or Steele, again, it's just so hard because generally speaking, when you do a trade, bare minimum, you want to make 10 points, 20 points, whatever it may be. All these potential trades, they're going to cost you points. And that's where I get nervous about it. But it's at the point of the year where they're the only trades we can do, really. But I love the F7 loop. I did it last week and it was very successful. So based off 1 week, I'm saying it's the way to go. We'll see what happens this week, though.
You could almost...
Might not be a bad week. Well, hang on. No, Philip is still in his first week back. I guess it just depends who you've got sitting in that F7, right?
The one thing people have to be really careful this week is you need a Hawthorn red dot forward because there aren't many other red dot forwards people have got. And the other ones we do have play for Richmond and West Coast, and they both play early in the round. So that's the F7 loop I found in my own team is going to be difficult for me to do this week. So that would be one thing to note. But if you can do it, you could almost hold English this week, go Rosie if you want to trade him out because it's a tough matchup and go to a Brayshaw or a Steele, and then do the F7 loop going, maybe if you go if it's a Dowling or Humphreys or whatever and get a Peatling or a Phillip on your bench and do it that way. And then you can do English to Marshall next week. That could be.
And just on the red dot, I actually traded in a Hawthorn forward red dot last week because Hawthorn plays Sunday every week, every week till the end of the year. And then round 24 hasn't been announced yet, but they're playing North, and I reckon there's a fair chance that would be on a Sunday too.
That'll be a Sunday, or it'll be like the first game on the Saturday. It'll be one of those two. I know sometimes they like putting a few of the relevant games on the end of the round to try and make the drama of the round go right to last. But we'll have to see.
Well, it might just depend. It might just depend on what Hawthorn do, because as soon as Hawthorn lose a game, that's pretty much the end of their finals dream. So,
yeah. Oh, and Sean
I guess we'll see.
Oh no, he's back. He froze for a sec. But beautiful. All right, we'll get to a heap of these questions here. So if you are tuning in live on YouTube or Twitter, then continue sending questions through, and we'll keep going through them. Hurt M or double M. Tim asked Brayshaw or Cripps. He's asking about it. And he's asking opinion on Cripps. I'm assuming as well because he said Brayshaw and Cripps.
How's Cripps been going? Well, I've really paid much attention to him, to be perfectly honest. He's been playing. He's been going well in his footy.
He's got a good last 4. He's got Collingwood. I know he's got West Coast and St Kilda.
Yeah. So okay. Last 3 average 101. Last 5 average of 108. What's he got? Carlton. Collingwood, Hawthorn. Yeah, he's got a pretty good run.
It's a good run.
Obviously, the Hawthorn matchup's obviously a bit tough. But who else you got around that 900 mark, right?
There's pretty much all of them around that mark. I think it's.
When you got Bond as an option for 20 grand more, you got Bond. For 20 grand more, you got Brayshaw. I mean, I just think they've got. Cripper's not really a ceiling player, right? Like he's going to have
40 touches to get.
Yeah, exactly right. Whereas Brayshaw and I mean even an Anderson, another option.
They can have 25 touches and get a 130.
Yeah,
just with their tackles and marks. I agree. I'd probably go Brayshaw if you're looking between the two. I reckon.
Or for the same price, Steele. If you don't have Jack Steele,
exactly.
Same price.
Yeah, Jack Steele's another one. We didn't actually say as well.
Do you really think he's got a ceiling on him? I mean, I think he can go 120, but is he going to hit the 130s, 140s? You know, Brayshaw, I think, can do that.
Yeah, I like
can do
Brayshaw
that.
more.
I like Brayshaw more as well, just with the consistent ability to hit the ceiling. He's done it. 4 of his last 6 have been over 115, and the other 2 were against Sydney at the SCG and Hawthorn in that low scoring game, and Hawthorn are tough to score against. So, Brayshaw I do like there. Gareth Evans has got this one. Who is best to trade out for Treloar? So, Jordox, you're looking at trading Butters, Rosie, or Merritt. One of those 3. If you had to trade one of those 3, who are you trading out?
Who was the first one?
Butters,
Rosie, Merritt. Oh, I guess it would have to be Rosie, but yeah, Merritt's interesting, isn't he? He's just.
I don't want to talk about Merritt.
Well, he's just like Essendon, they're just a bit of a tailspin at the minute. I reckon they'll bounce back though. I reckon you trade out Rosie out of those 3.
Yeah.
But not with any confidence.
On Butters out, personally. Tim, out of the 3?
Yeah, I'd probably go Butters. Just I think he's the number 1 tag target there at the moment. Rosie, I just think is a bit shit. Not necessarily getting that much attention. I would probably have Butters over Rosie. And then, I'm not as, Merritt hasn't been great, but I'm not sure if I'd have him on the trade table.
I think I'll probably still have him. I can't imagine he goes through a year without going at least one game of 140 plus.
Yeah, looks. I mean, he's got tough last 2, but his next 2 are pretty good.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'd be one of those Port boys at least. I think with the Sydney matchup. Matt's got this question. No, he's got multiple options, so we'll go to Jordox for this one again because I know Tim is not a fan of the multiple options. So Matt's got this one. Jordox. He
I just
says,
need you to talk slower when you do them. That's all, Bales.
Or put it on the screen. That's what I struggle with.
Put it on the screen. Yeah.
I'll put it on the screen. There you go. We normally do it for super chats, but Matt, you get the special treatment for the question. So first option: Fraser to Peatling or Stevenson. I think Peatling. I think we all agree is the option there. So Fraser to Peatling and Ryan to Newman or Walsh, and 2 Fraser to Simpkin and Harrison to a rookie. So I think would we be going the first option?
Or
Luke
Walsh.
Ryan's got to go, doesn't he? Surely.
Ryan to Newman or Walsh.
Yeah, Ryan's got to go.
Freya to Simpkin and Harrison to 200k. Yeah, I like the first one.
Because you got Peatling F6, and then you can go Ryan to one of those other guys.
Yeah,
Ryan
to Newman, I think. Freya to Peatling. But I'm glad Matt brought up Stevenson because we didn't mention him before.
He'll be dropped.
You reckon? Straight out?
He was very bad.
Really?
He turned it over every time I saw him get the ball. I know he got an 87, but Colby, I think, will be, I don't know, but the injury
McCurch is back.
Yeah. McCurch will be back. Stevenson will probably get either put back forward or he'll be dropped because he was not good. Powell actually...
Why don't they just persevere, though? Like, one game's not enough to find out. Anyway, I liked him if he kept the role, but I guess if he's out, that'll make it easier. But no, I like Peatling and who was the defender? Newman.
Newman or Walsh. I'd probably go Newman with the
not
this
touching
matchup
Walsh.
Coming up. Yeah, well, Walsh, I don't know. I probably want to see something from him before. I was looking at bringing him in this week, but after the last 4, probably want to see a game from him first because he's getting his tackles every now and again. But he's, as Roy keeps saying, and Roy loves Walsh. If he was going to say bring him in, he would have said it. 4 marks in the last 4 weeks is just not good. I know they've had a couple of tougher matchups, but still, you got to be taking more than 1 mark. Like we give Matt Rao crap about only taking a couple of marks, and Walsh is sort of right there with him. So,
telling you, he's cooked. He's tired. He needs a breather before finals, Walshy.
Yeah. What I'm going to do, I'm going to keep putting the questions up on the thing just to be easier because a lot of people got combos and stuff. So, Tim, Tafe, obviously, this is Taser, obviously, mate of ours over in Perth. Hope you're going well, mate. He says English and Dacos to Rowan Marshall and Treloar, or Evans and Kruger to a 23rd primo to loot with Dacos. It would be Anderson or Sinclair.
Yeah.
If you could loop Dacos with Anderson or Sinclair, that's jeez.
Yeah, that's pretty special. I do wonder whether the Dacos out is a little, what's the word? A little complex. Like, I think you try and, I think you're trying to be a bit too smart with maybe the Dacos straight out. But then again, Roma and Trelaw, you can't really complain with those ends.
The only thing is, as we said, you could do English to Ryan Marshall next week. But if you've got Henderson or Sinclair as a 23rd primo, like, not bad to loop with Dacos with all these tags. All these tags can't. But, well, Josh, I want to get your thoughts because me and Tim were chatting with Jane a bit about it on Sunday. What are your thoughts about a Dacos trade out? Because I'm heavily considering it. It's got Chincotta this week, then a James Jordan / Adams / Rowbottom, whoever it is, he will be tagged against Sydney. They then got Brisbane. Dacos has torched them the last couple of times they've played, even though Brisbane, I think they won earlier in the year, if I recall. Maybe I can't remember if they won or lost. But Dacos has played well. They might put Berry onto him, and then he finishes with Neil Bullen, which that worked really well, even though Melbourne lost the game, but it worked well. Do you think that Dacos is a hold for you, or is he a trade out?
Look, my opinion is probably in the minority with this stuff. And I jumped at a future tag shadow earlier this season, and it's arguably cost me my run to a top 1,000. I didn't jump off. I didn't jump onto Whitfield because I was scared of a tag that was coming up 2 weeks away. The tags, there's just nothing guaranteed with them. So, look, if you're picking up a player and it's down to Dacos and Stewart, or, I'd use it as a bit of a hair splitter. If you can't pick a player who is more likely to get tagged, I wouldn't be trading him out, though. He had 18 touches to quarter time. And I know Richmond weren't tagging him, and they're a young side.
As DC called him on the Hat Chat podcast, I like shout out to DC for this one. Adam Luze in the first quarter, which I thought was quite funny.
Bit hard.
Well, could I reframe this question and ask it a slightly different way, just to get the discussion going a little bit? Because I am curious about what you guys think about this, right? So let's put a points value on it, right? So English over Roma, what? Between now and the end of the season, what would you give it? 10 points, 15 points?
What total? Per week?
Yeah. I think over the next fortnight, they'll be within 20 points. 20 to 30 points, I think, almost combined. I think Marshall will be solidly consistent. I think English will be. I think the last 2 weeks is where it could balloon out because of Marshall's Geelong and Carlton matchups. So it could be in those last 2 weeks a good 30, 40 points if Marshall goes big. But for the next fortnight, I don't think it's like a must trade, or at least this week.
Let's say the next fortnight. What do you think the points difference is between English and Roma?
Maybe
per week.
5 to 15 points. Let's say 10 points a game.
Right. And then what do you reckon the difference between Dacos and Trelaw?
So I've got a feeling it could be massive. I think it could be a good 40, 50 points a week.
Okay. All right. Okay.
We've seen Dacos be clamped well. Chincotta will go to him this week.
Let's go bottom end, right? You said 40 points, right? And I think that's probably still a little extreme. But you said 40 points for
let's
Dacos
go 30. Let's go 30. We'll go 30.
Okay. So 30, and we said 10 for, right. So 40 in total. So 40 points on field, or a 23rd primo.
And you can loop with Dacos as well.
Well, if Dacos drops a 60 and he can loop it and then get a 110 out of Anderson, it's 50 points. But this is
the only tough one with that this week is Anderson plays first, so you actually got to loop. If you're looping, you're actually looping Anderson.
Oh yeah,
or you're looping Dacos with someone else. Whereas if you get Sinclair in over Anderson, then you get to loop Sinclair and you get to loop Dacos because Sinclair plays final game of the round. So that's the only thing I don't like with the 23rd primo is that if you're getting tagged, sometimes the player you're looping with plays after or before, and then you're sort of playing around with two loops. So the only place I really like looping actually is in the forward line, just with that F6 spot. I feel like D7, M9, can get a bit jumbled with fixturing and stuff like that. That's just me though. But I don't mind looping Anderson and Dacos.
But it's funny because you just said the opposite, right?
Yeah,
It's
a pretty tough question.
I think he's saying he'd
this
prefer to loop. He'd prefer to loop in the forward line, but he doesn't mind it in this instance because of the tags coming up for Dacos. So it won't help this week unless you went Sinclair. But for the next 4 weeks, I mean, the good thing about this point of the year is you can sit down and actually look at the fixture and for the next few weeks, map it out. Would you be able to loop the guy you want to loop every week for the next 3 weeks? Because we don't have the round 24 fixture yet, the schedule. So sit down, have a look at fixture. When does Anderson play? When does Sinclair play? And if it all works and you can loop the guy you want to loop, go for it. But I guess Bale's point is, it might work this week, but then for the next 2, you're stuck and there's not much you can do once you commit to that. So
yeah, for Taser's question, if I had to pick, I'm going English and Dacos to Marshall and Treloar. I'm getting the 2 better players on field, trading a guy that's going to get tagged, trading a guy that's got a tough matchup, even though he's had a good history against Gorn, and Marshall's got the ceiling. So I'd probably go Marshall and Treloar personally.
And that's what I thought you were saying, right? But then it kind of you almost pivoted at the end and then said, no, I want to go with the loop option, right? But I think that was the point of chatting that out. I think kind of what we decided was kind of the on-field upgrade is where we'd feel a lot more safer because looping is difficult. I mean, look, if your ducks are in a row and you can do it, just like Jordox said, then sure, go for it. But I think for most people, unless you're going to do that work, you're better off with the on-field upgrade.
Yep, agreed. Cool. All right, we've got a heap of questions coming through, so appreciate everyone that is.
Should we try some rapid fire?
Yeah, I was just about to do it, but we did have a couple of super chats that did pop up here. So Tim Asher's just put with this one again. So he said he can go 2 trades: Jackson to Myers, Clark to Stewart, Rosie to Anderson. Which 2 of the 3 are you going, Jordox?
Let's go with Clark to Stewart and Rosie to Anderson.
Yeah, I'm actually going the other way. Jackson to Myers and Clark to Stewart. I think Rosie to Manoa Anderson's not much of an upgrade. It's pretty sideways.
Yeah, and I guess similar Jackson to Myers. But
I think with Darcy on the side, surely Myers has got the opportunity to score him better than Jackson.
Actually, he's playing Adelaide this week. Who are we kidding? He'll probably kick 5 and pick up 35 touches. Make him chuck the VC on him on a Saturday twilight.
Yeah. Rawls has got this question. Thank you as well for the super chat, mate. So Tim, he says, rookie down and Clark to Sheasel, or Rosie to Walsh and Clark to Newman. I don't know what you're going to say, but I think Sheasel's a must this week.
Yeah, I do like the first one.
First one.
Yeah.
Once again, Rosie or Walsh, who knows what they're going to score.
They both score the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Sheasel's no spoiling for my captain's video on Thursday, but he's definitely going to be a top 5 option for me. And let's say he's going to be at the very pointy end of the top 5 because he's got Richmond this week. So he could go very, very nicely. But yeah, we will do some rapid fire as well with some of these questions. So Jordox, I'll start with you. James Crabb says, first trade's Dacos to Treloar. Which is the better second option? Young to Newman or English to Cherry?
Young to Newman. See how quick that was.
Beautiful. Tim, Tony Ford, Treloar or Stewart, the better option to bring in this week?
Treloar is, but it's who are you trading out?
Yeah,
I
good
guess
question.
It could be DPP, right? So,
yeah, you probably say Treloar based on the next 3 weeks. He's got a very, very good run. Jason he said, hey, Bailey, so I'll see if I can answer this one here. Currently ranked 50th. It's good stuff, mate. So the goal is to hit the hat. Do you approve these trades? Dacos to Newman and Rosie or Bont to Treloar. I'll keep Walsh for the Collingwood matchup, Sarong for the Geelong matchup. Well, you're definitely not training Bont with the matchup. So, yeah, I'll definitely tick him off. Dacos to Newman, Rosie to Treloar. Yep, lock him in. You got good matchups coming, so I'll be doing that. Lockie Gillespie, Jordox. Hey, legends, can you tick off Martin to Rosie? Martin and Rosie to Sheasel and Richards for the run home. Or if Philippou is back, I can go Pooh and Shees in for Rosie and Dowling. So I'm assuming they're going Rosie to Sheasel Are you going Martin to Richards or Dowling to Philippou?
Dowling to Philippou. Great move, I reckon. I
agree. I think we mentioned with Ridley out that Martin could go back as well. So, yeah, I'd be holding him there. McTurtle says, Tim, what do you think of Ryan to Simpkin and Young to Green or Brayshaw?
Ryan to Simpkin. Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, for what it allows you to do on the other end, I don't mind it.
Yeah, and Green or Brayshaw?
I think Brayshaw's got the better run for the next two.
I agree. If I was picking this week, yeah, it'd be Brayshaw. I think Green's got Hawthorn. Connor Nash has gone to him the last... Geez, I can't even remember. Every time I've watched Hawthorn play Giants, he's gone to him. So could be a lower one for Green this week. Play on footy. Zorko Trelaw, Jordox. And Zorko has got the Saints this week at under the roof.
Whoa.
Where's he sitting your captain's bales?
Very, very high as well. Yes.
It's got to be Zorko, because who else is sitting in your forward line that would be better? Whereas if you don't have Trelaw, you might have similar.
Yeah, great point.
I probably like Trelaw more, but yeah, Zorko for that forward.
Yeah,
forward spot.
Agreed. Exceptions says, hey, Bales, mate, could you and Jordox tell me Dowling's current role? Haven't been watching Adelaide games. Thanks, boys. I've been playing on a wing. He's gone half back in the games where the Crows have been down by a fair bit to try and sort of just a new position, but it's been a wing pretty much exclusively. So that is what he has been doing. Thought we'd see
a bit more inside time this week with Dawson out. Bring another mid in, but didn't really eventuate.
Yeah, exactly. Calum Fife, thank you for the super chat as well. Exceptions as well. Thank you for the super chat. I forgot to say that as well before I read out. So Timmy says, would you go Young or Dacos to Trelaw or bring in Simpkin F7?
Young or Dacos to Trelaw? No, I think I'd be doing the on-field upgrade.
I agree.
Yeah. And then who out? Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah. I'm gonna trust your gut here, Bales. I'm not as worried. I don't think the difference is gonna be as big as what you think it is, but I'm gonna back you anyway. Let's try.
Well, obviously, yeah. I'm backing still, but obviously the worry as someone that is saying trade Dacos is when I do look at the matchup against Carlton, I'm pretty sure I'm just getting his numbers up here. Dacos, I think, went pretty well against Carlton early in the year. 122 in round 8. But I don't know if Chincotta was doing many big roles before then. So, but I just think Collingwood is struggling at the moment. And if you want to keep him struggling, tag Dacos. Carlton need to win this game, especially after losing last week. So I think it's nailed on. He'll be tagging him. I can't see him going over 110. So even if you trade, it won't burn you. We'll keep going rapid fire for another maybe 4 or 5 minutes, and we'll wrap up. And there you go. Obviously, Tony Ford was just saying about Jordan, about what you're saying about Peatling. He's averaged 95 in games where he's played over 70% time on ground. 6 games include Brisbane, Geelong, and Sydney. So obviously, Brisbane and Sydney are tough. So obviously, he's gone very well there as well. Just a human, Jordox. What are your thoughts on Peatling or Philippou? Who are you picking out of the 2 for the run home?
Peatling this week, just because in an ideal world you would have a look at Philippou, even though he's cheaper. But I'm really confident on Peatling. So
yeah, I like the thinking there. Play on Footy said West derbies are the best, right, Guesty?
That's right, mate.
Yeah,
especially the demolition derbies.
Yeah, exactly. that was good. I wish we saw a little bit more of the big Barneys sort of going up. No, not punching stuff, but everyone getting in there and getting a bit and chucking in a bit of money into the pot.
A bit of different commentary about it. Like some people were like, "Oh, come on, grow up, get over it." And I was loving every minute of it. I thought it was awesome.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's just we're just so used to the footy and seeing it, but I like it every now and again. Obviously, no gap on Brayshaw, but But anything
I thought it
little
was
is-
brilliant, Guesty, because, don't need to say how Eagles have been travelling, but West Coast, they just getting smashed. And even last week they lost.
I think
and they
I
copped
think that's
it. And just
partly what it was
to
about.
see, just to see them say,
New coach, new era.
Yeah.
Tear off the old skin. We're not the easy beats anymore. We're not, let's go out there and show them we
young
mean business.
Harley Reid, a lot of people bag at him and saying, "Oh, he's a bit of a." I loved it. He just put his chest out, said, "Lads, follow me. This is the way to go."
Yeah.
It's good. Hey, Buzz, can I read a comment out? Just that.
Yeah.
Was that towards the start? So when Tim had said, "I wonder if we've got any ladies listening," Macca commented, and this is brilliant. Not only am I a lady, I'm a grandmother, ranked around 4,600. Thanks for all your help in beating my son. That is brilliant. Good on you, Macca.
That's the best thing ever.
I must have missed that. Where'd that go? Yeah.
It was early.
There it is. There it is. Yeah, it just popped up. Okay, yeah. No, appreciate it, Macca. Thank you for.
Hopefully
for the
she's
comment.
still listening, because that was great.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful. Alrighty. Well, I reckon we will wrap it up there. We've just gone past the hour mark. Some good chat tonight over plenty of options. Apologies, we didn't get through all of the questions there, but hopefully it did sort of help you out with the questions, because a lot of the questions we didn't answer, those players were discussed throughout other questions as well. So hopefully that gave you a bit of a hand there. We'll go through our early early-ish trade plans, because middle of the week. So we're sort of nearing to what this one. Hate no Thursday night football. Love it. It needs to make it a regular fix next year. Anyway,
Right.
Jordox.
We've got 2 Friday night games this week, including the West Coast
What a
Gold
great
Coast
idea.
ball terror.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
strange. So strange.
Because so Jordox, what are you
Actually,
on
just
early
on
trades?
Just on that, the Friday games, we've got 2 games. The first one, the Melbourne Bulldogs game, starts earlier than it normally would on a Friday night.
Yeah, it starts
so just
10 minutes normally after we stop our pre-lockout chat. So
don't get caught out.
5:15 or
plans on
5:10?
Friday.
5:15, I think. 5:15.
Yeah.
No, that's probably dead right. We never finish at 5 o'clock on the dot anyway, Bales. We're always running late.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so my trades. I am going to go, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go Billy Dowling to Peatling and continue to swap between Peatling and Simpkin. So what would that look like this week? I'd be looping Simpkin Saturday, and if I don't like it, I'll jump into Peatling. And in with the cash, and I already have a bit of cash. It was going to be Luke Ryan, but I'm just short of getting him to Whitfield. So I could go Luke Ryan to Tom Stewart, but I'm actually thinking now Brodie Grundy to Marshall.
Oh, I gotta keep Luke Ryan for a week. Ooh. Oh, hopefully it goes well. But then again, I'm trading him.
Is it what's the latest on Pierce? Is he coming back? No, I don't think it's going to work out.
I think he had surgery again, didn't he?
Freo injury list. Pierce is out. TBC. Pierce has cast on his fractured forearm removed early this week. Will start mobility, whereas he targets to return late in the season. So yeah, probably looking at last 2 rounds or finals.
Yeah. So maybe Ryan to Stewart, or if Grundy is rested, Grundy to Marshall.
Yep. Tim?
Mate, I'll be if the poo's back, I'll be trading out Billy Dowling to one of those forward Hawthorn red dots. And then I'll be probably doing Connor Rosita, Adam Treloar this week. And fingers crossed that if Brodie Grundy doesn't get traded out. Doesn't get rested, sorry.
Yeah. And then mine, I'll be going at this stage, Luke Ryan to, it'll be one of Anderson or Treloar. And then I'm contemplating, obviously, the Dacos trade at the moment. I've got Dacos out to Nick Newman, but I've also looked at Toby Green to Simpkin. I'm still not sure about the F6 spot if I'm going to worry about doing it there. Or I can go Rosie and Dacos out to Anderson and Treloar, which I'm tempted if I want to be really, really attacking, which I almost need to at this stage of the year, right? So maybe try and get the 2 guys who've got the big ceilings there. So a few trades that I'm looking at doing, but that's what we might be going with there. And also, Macca just said, yes, still listening, not my bedtime yet. So,
Great.
Beautiful.
I
love
think
it.
he meant more that it was so early on in the pod.
Yeah, it's a long pod.
Beautiful. And then Mr. Bard also said, Bales, mate, sent you a question on Q regarding fading Whitfield. I still am. I got Wright, Marshall, and Green still. Should I still fade Whitfield and get Newman? I will answer that for you on Q, mate. I'll get to that literally once we finish here. But also, if you do want to send a question on Q as well, then head over to Ask Me on Q, spelled QU.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics can answer all your questions, whatever you desire me to answer, you can put it in there as well if you'd like to help support the channel even more. And yeah, get an audio response straight to your email. There, so if you'd like to hit that, that is in the description of the podcast and the video. And then also make sure you go and follow AFL Subs as well. Jordox and Eloise doing good things there. But on that note, Jordox, mate, thanks for jumping on once again. Where can the people find you, and anything else you want to say about the Subs account?
Yep, so I'm on X at Jordox2020. And as Bale said, make sure you follow at AFL Subs to get the subs and late changes beeping straight to your phone on the weekend.
Yep, it is fantastic. Make sure you go and do it. Tim, where can the people find you?
Tim Guesty, you, and we've got an event coming up on Saturday, the 31st of August. So if you want to come along, get along to infinitewealth.com.au/AFL Fantasy, and we'll send you an email in the next couple of weeks.
Beautiful. Get around it. And Jordox, because I know we're not going to get you on Friday because I know you're all always busy at that time, but the semi-finals of the Content Creators Cup is coming up this week. Quick tips, because I'll ask Tim on Friday when we get a bit more information, but Mitch is up against Roy and Jepper is up against Luke. So who have you got in those two matchups? Mitch v. Roy.
Let's go with Mitch.
And Jepper v. Luke.
And Jepper.
There you go.
I base all this on nothing, so I don't know their teams. Hey, if it comes off, I'll look smart. So, yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing who I'll be matched up against next week. So I'll be able to put my feet up, which will be good. Beautiful. All right, and you can find. Yep, exactly. And you can find me at Bales DT, and we're back on Friday afternoon. At 6 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Perth time. That 2 games is throwing me off. So make sure you guys are tuning in there, and we'll be answering all your questions pretty much live right up until the 10 minutes before the bounce. So make sure you guys tune to that. If you'd like all more questions answered there, I'll be back for trade talk tomorrow as well, and then captains on Thursday as always. So thank you everyone for tuning in. If you are listening back to the podcast, can leave us a 5-star rating and review. That would be very much appreciated. And if you are listening on YouTube, make sure you smash a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys on Friday. We're out. See ya.
Yeah.
See ya.
As always, thank you everyone on YouTube for tuning in. Make sure you smash a like on the video as well, and make sure you subscribe to our channel. We're nearly at 2.7k subscribers, so if we can get there, that'd be fantastic. Thanks, guys.